Yes.
Hey, folks, welcome tonight. Hi, Steve. Hi, Don. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Deb. Hi, Wendy. Hi, David. Hi, Cecilia. And Tony, you're not looking forward to becoming oppressed. I heard you loud and clear. My keyboard's having some issues, so hopefully Deb's with us. She'll
Yes, Deb's in the house, too, with us tonight. Deborah Johnson. Oh, hello, Deb, by the way.
Hello.
Hello
hey,
to the
Deb.
audience. One of these days, we're going to make you pipe in your face in here in a cam. I think people would like that. Did you ever see the old Jetsons episode?
You know what she can do? She can set her dog in front of the camera. We can animate it for her.
Yeah, we'll do that. Let her sit in front of the camera.
Oh my, that would be
right now. I have
so
it, so.
funny.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. All right, let's get started. I'm still not used to doing an hour instead of 2 hours, so I might drag it.
So yeah, he drags a little bit. Okay, where's my notes, guys?
Well, I may not drag enough. I know.
So Fast and Furious, kids, tonight. Easy ways to become oppressed. Easy ways to get it off you. And as always, we got to sign in doing our St. Michael prayer. So let's pray, people.
The Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Saint Michael, the Archangel, defend us in battle, be our protection against the malice and the snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, will we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the divine powers of God, cast into hell Satan and all the yet evil spirits who roams through the world, seeking to ruin the souls. Amen.
Amen.
Yes.
All right, folks, if you're here and you're live with us, can you do us a favor and give us a like? And hit subscribe so you too can find out more of the zany craziness that we get away with here at The Real Deals. And of course, you know what? We may not get away with anything because you're going to keep us on top of it, aren't you? So suggestions are always welcome. We'd love to hear from you. Topics, PM us, etc. So we're going to start tonight off. Welcome, Deb. Are you out there? Deb.
Oh, everybody said.
Here.
You're making Deb speak again?
Deb is always going to be, active. She's in the chat room, so if you guys have any questions or anything, shoot them at her, shoot them at me, and we will try between the three of us. Yes, I'm getting thumbs up. Thank you. We like little hearts, too.
In 11 years, Deb, we've been doing the show. Well, not exactly this show. It started with a radio.
Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Don and Brent. Hi, Jack. Hi, Doris. Okay, I'm done.
That's all there is? There's only like 3 people in there?
Yeah, there's only like 4. Oh, I'm getting the hearts.
Like
I'm getting
4.
the hearts.
In the comments, anyway.
Hey, Steve. Yes. In the comments. First up for tonight.
And, by the way, yes, the Ask the Demonologist question, Deb can relay them on the show, or maybe Farah can, too, because we have a couple of those.
If I'm actually paying attention.
All right, without an introduction, because I'm not very good at those, I think Farah did an adequate one, at least. It's Easy Oppression. 1, 2, 3. That should be a book. Easy Oppression.
Yes, completely.
I mean, can people be any more, we'll just say, sometimes stupid? Number 1, of course, is the most obvious mainstream occult practices. How much can you elaborate on that one? It's become mainstream because of games like Charlie and things that are just seemingly like they're...
completely.
We got somebody who's broke down, but the fact that it's mainstream means that it's besides Parker Brothers, a Ouija board that's advertised in Christmas or something, that you run into it in the media, in the mainstream, in every form. Everywhere you look, you hear, you listen, you speak.
I know people are making fun of it constantly.
They should. And the big taboo. Should I wait to save that one for later?
Why don't you save that one for last, because we all love taboos. The sweetest taboo.
Yes. We'll start we'll do the countdown there. So we'll go down to 20. So if you flip over on our guide to 20 easy ways.
20 easy way to get rid of your
hard drugs, especially hallucinogens, but the ones that do brain damage, that subdue a part of your brain and give you this altered state of consciousness. Especially now. We all seen the Flacca videos? Uh-oh, you gotta refocus your camera there. Put something up in front of it again. Let it focus on it. There you go. I don't know why it does that. I don't even know how to...
Because I was talking to Jennifer's little puppy, and I said, I heart Peanut. And it's like, okay, now it focuses on the cute little Peanut. Now it goes away.
There it goes. Okay.
The zombie cup.
Hi,
Cecilia! Okay, I'm done.
The drugs like Flacca and what was PCP in the old days?
Oh my gosh, I know, that was freaky stuff. Yeah, back
like
in the old days. Oh my gosh, they used to lace they'd lace hash with PCP, exactly. Or, Red Bud wasn't the same, 30, 40 years ago. Red Bud is not the same as it is today, but they'd lace with a little PCP, and you'd get 10 bouncers, they couldn't take them out. 20 bullets, and you were lucky if you'd stop him. Today, people are smoking bath salts. What is up with this, you guys?
Yeah, anything that causes the more sniffing glue when I was a kid, which I thought was weird because I thought it seemed a little too potent to sniff it on purpose. We made models when we were kids and all that. So PCP, that's a totally different thing, but it has the same effect. And bath salts, what happens to you when you're stuck in a life raft and you go, I can't take it anymore, I must have some water, and you start shoving the seawater in your face or ocean water.
Totally.
And next thing you know, you got dementia and you're acting like you're possessed, and someone's got to put a bullet in your head.
What else are you supposed to do?
Not necessarily, but it's causing the same type of effects. And I don't think that happens with everybody either. Like if you have 5 people in the boat and one of them is in a great spiritual state, like let's say Padre Pio was in the boat. Okay, we'll make someone a little less than Padre Pio. Who can we think of? And they drink this bath salt.
Lots of choices.
I'm sorry, not bath salt. Yuck. Drink it.
That's gross. I never drink bath water.
The ocean water, and you're supposed to just get totally crazy. And the same thing happens when they come out of anesthesia sometimes, that they act like animals and stuff.
I've heard about
that. Act more like they're possessed. So anyway, without further ado, we'll go back. Now it's 19. We're doing the countdown.
Hey, Brother Robert from the Franciscans is in tonight. Hi, Robert. Hi, Denise. Sorry, I had to interrupt you.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Apologies.
No need to apologize here. These teenager games, I mentioned Charlie, but how about did you play Bloody Mary, or some of your friends when you were a kid, or anybody out there? Bloody Mary, you say it 3 times, looking at the mirror and staring in it when the lights are out.
That was like the popular thing to do when kids hung out at camp or they had sleepovers. Come on, let's play Bloody Mary. Let's look in the mirror and see if we can see something.
Yeah, so that was the one, and then they made the movie Candyman, a completely made up character and scenario, and it's a guy with the hook, so they put Hookman in there too.
Yes.
And so I don't know, did they think that they didn't own the rights to the Bloody Mary franchise or something? Because
nobody owns Bloody Mary.
Up
Bloody
till
Mary,
then.
As we all know, is a joke from bloody old England when Mary, the daughter of Henry, decided to turn Protestantism into Catholicism and definitely had her way, and it was a bloodbath. I don't think anybody has ownership of that.
Yeah, so that's the backstory where the two words come together. But I don't even think the people who did it knew the history. Or Ring Around the Rosie.
Could. Oh my gosh, I know. Ring Around the Rosie is really gross
morbid,
too.
Yeah.
And I think that today's plague, kids, if you look everywhere you go, you're seeing it everywhere. While it isn't so much on the news, if you find small outlets like some of the independent stuff and PBS occasionally, I'm sure, Deb, you've heard of it up there too. Mm-hmm. It's the opioids. Our time is really focused on strange magic, pharmacopoeia that designs all these wonderful drugs. And the sad thing is and these kids start off on these antidepressants, and they're addicted to them because they get a nice, even buzz, which is really, really strange. So today's magic is basically pharmacopoeia. It's creating illusions, delusions, and also strong physical reactions and mental and graphic images. It's scary stuff, kids. Very scary stuff.
Yeah, the opioids. See, I'm not even sure. That's a hallucinogen. What kind of? Does it have the effects that we're talking about in that number 20? Because it seems like it's an epidemic, meth is.
I agree. I'm sure, Deb could tell us some stuff, but some of the stuff around there, it's especially in the rural areas, the dog just wants to wave hi to Peanut real quick. So she's going to hi Peanut, and she's going to leave me alone, right, dog? I think we'll talk to Deb. Some of the most popular drugs.
The opioids.
Yes.
That's fentanyl.
Oh, fentanyl. Well, and didn't we just hear today, Prince?
The other one.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of it.
But
that's what's killing people.
Exactly.
And especially up here in Connecticut. We lost a lot of people within a year.
Well, Deb, didn't we just hear, I think it was today, that they came out and said that Prince wasn't actually murdered, that he had, like, fentanyl-laced, what was it, some kind of opioid. In other words, they combined 2 opioids, and they were black market. So be careful what you get black market, kids. You think you're getting muscle-building powder? You don't know what's going to be laced with.
Wasn't that weird with Prince? He was kind of a roller coaster. And remember, he went to some sort of weird, I don't know if he made up this religion, came up with this weird
strange
tofu symbol with a T, and that was his name, the artist formerly known as Prince, and showed that. And then he became Christian, supposedly. And one of his old female singers, keyboard player, I think, what was her name, Paulina, something like that. She became Christian at some point. I don't know if she influenced him or not, but yeah, that was a strange and tragic tale. He's a talented guy. Was like Sting, of the Police and solo work, is too. But we don't know. Most of these musicians are on the wrong side of the spiritual.
And I think the most important point we're making here, kids, about these things. Our parents used to tell us back in the, I wasn't around in the 50s or anything, but they always used to say, if you try these drugs, whether, you're snorting cocaine, whether, you're hitting a bong of, I don't know, hash or whatever you're doing, it's a gateway drug. It's a gateway drug. It's going to lead to more addictions and more drugs. It's worse than that. When we don't have complete control of our senses, like, there are many cultures that believe ingesting specific things are going to get them closer to God. That's one way of putting it, kids. Yeah. When you open yourself up to spirits, you open up to lots of spirits, but you just don't know what's coming through that door. And when you don't, it's like loaning your car out to the guy you see that like walks up and down the street at midnight. That's what taking drugs. It's like, hey, why don't you take my car for a ride? You don't know if you're getting it back. I guarantee you that.
Some of them don't seem like they do, and we had to put that, of course, on our checklist. And then, what are you going to do when their brain is not able to, like they're that way 24/7?
Oh my gosh!
What if you do the sea salt thing because you're, like I said, thirsty and you're stuck in the ocean for a couple of days and you just can't take it anymore and you get the dementia symptoms? I mean, if it doesn't kill you, what does it do to your brain? The same stuff as this other things like flakka? Are you permanently going to be kind of off? I don't know. Just a curious question. Because even rabies, it's ironic that instead of just getting sick, you turn into an animal. You turn into possessed and symptoms. So what's up with that? Why do these things do that? And that's what the psychologist said. Well, it's because they're nuts. Well, the problem is they have supernatural, abilities and so forth. In addition to that, like aversions that they're not even aware is there. Conceal a relic, for example, or say words in Latin and that they couldn't possibly know that actually is designed to provoke or command a demon. Those type of things. Not saying to do that at home, kids, but number 18, potions. What did I mean by that exactly? There's a variety of ways someone could put a spell on your drink. Like an ex-girlfriend that works behind the bar, or somebody. How about a boyfriend who wants to make you his for life, or anybody? They can put something on your food. You remember the thing in the Bible with King Saul disobeyed the order, God coming through the prophet Samuel. Oh yeah. Told him to slaughter everything, the cattle, everything. Saul just goes, all right, man, eat up, it's barbecue time. And they decided to eat these calves. There's a reason for that, because the calves, they're offered up to gods and goddesses. So in a way, they're cursed in the same way that we bless our food.
Just like when Jesus stuck the baddies in the pigs, folks. If you go and eat food of demons, you're going to catch one. You don't want one.
That's why we call it 20 easy ways, even though these aren't really all that common. I didn't say common ways, did I? Some of them are common, but that's number 18 is know where it comes from.
Precisely.
And that's why sometimes it's good to grow your own garden. But don't put pesticides on it.
This is why it's good to bless everything you shove in your mouth, people.
Yes,
bless it. Everything. It doesn't even matter if it's a snack. Let's say you're getting nuts on the airplane. Bless it. You don't know whose hand it was in before you.
You remember, the story, Farah, the St. Benedict, when one of his brothers or some of them tried to poison him?
How can you forget that story?
Yeah. He just waved his hands over his cup, blessed his meal, and then the cup shattered. It had poison in it. And he knew it by then. At least he knew it. Maybe he knew it beforehand, but don't be surprised if that happens, or don't be surprised if it doesn't either. It's not that direct, and it's we're talking about poison that would have killed him, and he's on his good path with God. So yeah. So number 17, this one's also controversial. I think we'll save it for the last one. I'm not going to say controversial, but it's very common, and I want to categorize it with the same point of number 2. Okay, so number 16, desire for gifts of the Holy Spirit. This one's going to be brought up because people cross into what's called the Kundalini spirit.
That was crazy.
The Hindu, even in yoga, that when you do that yoga position when you're laying on your stomach and you arch your back backwards, and you hold yourself up your front feet, that's the Kundalini serpent. That's the name of the spirit. So all of those poses are honoring the Hindu gods. So if you're just doing it for stretches, and you're not like, I didn't know anything, ignorance is bliss. It doesn't work that way. So even there's some ninjutsu moves, if you're not doing ones that somebody made up, that actually honor some dark spirits. That's where the ninjutsu had an advantage. They were going against farmers in ancient Okinawa, parts of China. They had black magic on their side. We got to remember, we're not talking about even when they just have one god, and they're monotheistic. That you have to know the nature of the god. Don't assume anything. That God is, one God means our God all the time. God of Abraham, the God of gods. So that one's an important one to consider. Father Chad, we have something up on our YouTube page right now about the gift of the Holy Spirit. We'll go into that another time. And he was just mentioning, don't pray that you get these gifts. It's just like what everybody else does. Everybody wants to be special. They want to be a superhero. They go to black magic.
Exactly.
Don't go to the Holy Spirit for otherwise what you'd go to if you're a practicing pagan. It's for the wrong reason. If God wants you to be able to speak another language, at the time you get lost in Mexico or something without a map, it'll come on you, so.
Yeah, you're going to be saying, ¿Dónde está el baño? In perfect inflection, people.
Yeah, that is Spanish, right? Not a Mexican derivative. Is there a difference?
Yeah, big difference. It's
names.
It's pronunciation.
Yeah.
It's pronunciation.
And that's what the number 15 correlates with that, because I said Kundalini spirit. I sort of combine those two, and but the point there is that's when you try to create your path to the occult, which means hidden knowledge, unknown knowledge. You're trying to open up what the Hindus call your third eye. And the Kundalini spirit, it's a serpent spirit, and they actually feel it when they do it the other way, instead of someone popping them with their hand and laying hands on them. Yes. That's the way they can transfer it. And that's why it happens instantly, and they get to laugh, and they get the drunkenness, and they act like an animal, they bark like a dog, and that kind of thing.
It's crazy, isn't it?
On the lesser level, some people do this, and then they get hit with the Kundalini spirit transitions, or whatever the words are. I don't want to promote it too much anyway, using proper words. Pending some research on some of the detail of that. But there's a lot of people on YouTube talking about when they did these rituals or whatever, and they could feel it starting to coil up their spine, like like when you have a disembodied hand touching you and you can feel this kind of touch or something. Imagine if there's like an invisible snake kind of curling its way, like it's going up a flagpole, up your spine, heading to your neck. And
yeah, people really want that creepy feeling before they go to bed, Ken. That's sweet.
And it happens at night, too. Just like the possessions, they often make their transition between the hours of 2 and 4 a.m. And so, but there's a lot of things we can go into now, do a whole show and a half or something. 18th degree Freemason. Freemasons in general, we have a whole thing on it. I have to put it up sometime. 18th degree is the no turn back. The age of 18 is significant also in witchcraft, where there's another some sort of ritual for Satanism too. Being 18 in your years, being 18 years old. But I was listening to Father Chad the other day. He was in my house. Father Chad, the exorcist, he's in up there in Boulder, Colorado area, and he was talking about this, and he mentioned about the 18th. Like, oh yeah, that's right. Father Chad mentioned that too. The 18th degree is a no turning back. You know the old thing from the Eagles Hotel California, where it's like you can check out any time you like, but you never leave.
That's kind of strange.
When you get to the 18, and you know, I'm not saying the 33 isn't more severe. But the 18th level gets to be the point where you're going to get spiritually afflicted, and at least in a major way. If you leave, you'll get majorly ill. You better run to a priest if you're trying to get out of it, because they're not going to. Things aren't going to go good for you at all.
Well, that's if you're trying to maintain a Christian life, because if you're not, life at the 18th degree can be rather rosy for you.
And all the vows and pacts.
Wonderful things happening, as if, you know, you're making more money, you're attracting more people of the opposite sex, you're having more opportunities, because the devil's going to give you everything you want to keep you exactly where you are.
I mean, as long as he needs to, right?
Well, exactly, until he's done with you and done with your family and your pets and everything else you care about. When he's done toying with you and having fun with you. So there's no timeline.
It takes a while to get to the 18th degree, so it's not exactly easy, but you can really get oppressed when you make that transition of just trying to leave the lodge and resign, because you made all these vows and pacts that you cursed yourself with all these words of what's going to happen.
So basically it's a turning point, kids.
Yes.
It's a turning point.
And that goes to number 13 also, because vows and pacts is related to
it really does. And I agree, Ken, because you're going to see that in just about any secret society, the vows and the pacts. There are things that you pledge to, like the worshipful master. Anytime you have that, I would kind of ask my pastor and my priest, is this okay? Chances are it's not.
Yeah, because sometimes you don't know. What the words could kind of be poetic or something,
It could
right?
be very well written out.
Yeah.
I have to say hi to Jennifer, and guess what? Poor Kevin. They got 2 feet of snow. Deb, how much snow powder do you have there?
Probably doesn't have as much.
We don't have anything.
So it's all
My dad says he's got a bunch of it in mid-Michigan, too. Cecilia, I bet you still have some in Detroit, too. But, oh, my gosh, they are bathing in snow. Thank you for all the hearts, everyone.
That's why we got this freezing cold weather.
I know. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's like, it's so cold here. It's like a snowman and a penguin. I think that's what we're going to talk about. A snowman and a penguin.
Both are the same. The frozen frozen penguin becomes a snowman over time.
Oh, my gosh.
Sad but true. This next one, and not necessarily in top order, of course, direct curses put upon you. This reminds me of this question somebody asked you today, Farah, and I think it's appropriate we can bring that up. Direct curses put upon you, ex-friends, ex-lovers.
Yes.
Anyone who may have a reason for revenge. Could be jealousy from the sister, sibling, father, mother, who knows?
I know.
You were mom's favorite. When they're telling you when you're at your deathbed and they reveal to you that they're the one who put the curse on you, like a Hollywood moment, you know. Cussing.
Even be one of your coworkers.
Exactly, Deb.
Yeah, you got a
what
promotion.
A good point.
Yeah.
That's so jealous of you, they can't even sit still. They have to, talk behind your back and try and annihilate your job, and you don't even know it.
Mm-hmm. And that's another way of revenge, instead of sabotaging you, gossip and slander and other things to the wrong and right people, so to speak. The people need to watch their words, and the same thing we said, vows and pacts. What you say to somebody is a curse. A vow and pact that you say is cursing yourself, or these curse others. Like if you get mad at your kids or your spouse or anybody and you say, G-O-D, damn you, that kind of thing.
Oh my gosh.
That is cursing them. And there was a case that Ralph Sarchi was involved in. His name was Frenchie, and the book was called Satan Harvest. And the Warrens were involved with that one. But the reason I mention it is because, I read it a long time ago. Seems like a long time ago. 90s are a long time ago, dear.
I know. We're just...
And it turns out
hippies. What can we say?
The demon revealed during an exorcism that his father had cursed him off, and of course he acknowledges that. But it's something to check on to see what kind of parents you had who were putting you in this position. I'm angry with you, and instead of doing that, they actually get this profanity and it crosses the line when they say damn you, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But did you want to go into that kind of question and answer real quick, Ronnie?
We can real quick, but I'd like to expand a little bit because I don't think we realize how much gravity our words have. When Ken and I speak on other topics and we let you know about spiritual authority, a spiritual authority is ordered properly through the father, the mother, and the child. So that when, we're talking to our kids and in a moment of anger or a fit of rage, I hope you get a kid just like you that, whatever you're doing that, steals from you, robs you, whatever. You're basically essentially cursing your child and the future generations of that child without even realizing it. So in a sense, you're almost issuing a curse that's going to come back and going to bite you. So that's how we have to be careful with our words, for one. Two, when we are out of frustration, and this is how easily it happens, when we step out of the authority of love and grace and thinking of our spouse and thinking of our children and how much love, that they desperately need, especially compassion when they're doing really bad stuff, we have to draw firm boundaries. Not tell them that they're going to hell. Not tell them that, God can't possibly love them because of, what of a liar and a crook and a schemer they are.
Yeah.
That curses them. And that basically disturbs grace in the household. How does that affect them? Psychologically and spiritually in many ways. So as parents, we really have to walk a fine line between very firm and judgmental, critical, harsh cursing of our children. And the case you wanted me to talk about real quick, Ken?
That was the one we're talking about early.
Oh, goodness,
evening.
Yeah. People, a lot of times in our lives, we go through periods where we're just not sure what's going on. And if we have a strong faith basis and something bad is going, we're blessed, we have our faith to go to, and we just dive right into it and we don't look at it. More often than not, though, we have a tendency to blame ourselves, think God's abandoned us. And we have a real difficult time trying to figure out, why would somebody wish me ill? And like Deb Johnson was saying, sometimes we don't know the source, but we know something's really, really off, and we're just not sure how to combat it. And this is the second case that has come in a sense that, the last one was a man. This one's a woman that has a sense there's things off with her children, there's things off with her job, there's things off with the home. She can't put her hand on it. And sometimes when we get so wrapped up in our lives, we need an outside opinion. That's what pastors are for. And a lot of times people, for whatever reason, they're embarrassed. They don't want to talk to their pastor. They don't want to say, hey, I went to the Topless Bar 3 nights in a row and I picked up this girl. Or, I was out partying, with the guys last weekend and I tried a hit of something. It might have been heroin. I don't know. Because who wants to have to look at your pastor, your priest every weekend knowing, oh my gosh, they could destroy my world. What you have to understand is that holy person there, they forgot what you said. God gives them a grace to listen to whatever it is you confess to them and say to them. They don't remember. It's their job not to remember. People like us, well, we do our best not to remember, but we'll try and help you too. And Ken, that was a good point that you brought up earlier in relation to people that aren't sure about what's going on in the parameters, but they know something is wrong. Try and talk to your pastor first. Even if it's just in the third person, like, you would go to your mother and say, well, I think something is going on because, Robin or so-and-so has this and that. Don't hide it. Don't ignore it. It will get worse.
Yeah, that's guaranteed. Especially if it starts out dark, that's where it's heading. It's not the angry farmer most of the time, or whoever might be haunting your house, in your opinion.
And you know, we gotta spit out a happy belated birthday to Jennifer. Happy birthday. Okay, got that 2 cents in.
All right. So, of course, the easiest way to get to an impression on one scenario is to number 11, moving into an infestation, a house. And actually, speaking of the recent cases, you're talking about we had 2, one of a man and one of a woman.
Oh, yes.
In a short period of time. Today we had someone who literally moved into a house that obviously is infested.
Oh,
and
very badly.
The priest took care of it. It was gone and quiet for 4 months. Now it's starting to get a little noisy. It's still not as bad as it was. It was pretty reckless and active.
Oh, and
So
talking
that's
about
the one we're
reckless and
dealing with.
active, Father Jamie and dog joined us. Hi, Father Jamie. Hi, dog. He brings this beautiful dog.
Dog.
I can't remember the name of Father Jamie's dog. And Jamie Anderson
Oh, is it
joined too.
Dog? Yeah, that's what she calls our dog
the
here. That's a
caboose
nickname
and the
for all of them.
travels and everything.
And hello to Father Mike out there who
Yes,
is
who
going to be out there listening to the show somewhere.
And thank you for the hearts, people. And yes, Jennifer Evans, I understand that sometimes it's difficult to believe that a priest doesn't judge you, but they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the lie of the evil ones. When you're at a point where you're in an office or you're in confessional with a priest, and you hear them ask you, well, how many times did you do that? That's not a judgment. They want to give you peace, perfect peace for your soul. And the only way they can do that is by asking you those questions. That is not judgment. That is not criticism. So please don't think that a priest wants to judge you or a pastor wants to judge you when you have to confide something and you want to give it to God. Understand that they're human. They may be rushed. They may be having a difficult day. Their mom or their dad may be sick. Their dog, may be having trouble. Their cat may be in the hospital. They may be having things in their life that are just as grievous to them as is in yours. So try again and try again so that God can give you the peace that you need, kids. Okay, Jen? Because we love ya.
It's a little awkward, but...
It's very awkward.
Yeah.
Who wants to go tell a pastor or priest, oh, this is what I did? You don't want to. But you know what? It feels a lot better. It feels a lot better.
You can always use the behind-the-screen method, too, instead of going face-to-face.
Or how about, since you confess your sins, you knew it was a sin, you enjoyed it, and went and did it again.
Yeah.
That's when your loving priest says, you know what? I am not going to give you absolution, or I'm not going to allow you to enjoy the level of peace until you make reparation or penance. Or in other words, you need to do something that shows that you're sorry, because you keep continuing to choose something that you know is wrong for you. Oh my, Deb, how many times have I done that?
Then you know it's sin.
Exactly, you know it's bad.
Recent case, that ties our hands, too, in our work, that a recent case, the gentleman seems like he is frightened about what's going on. He made a pact with Satan when he got into a bind, we'll say, and I gave him the advice, and, that we've given out hundreds of thousands of times. It's very common having to give breaking curses prayers, get him to renounce this, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
And we could drive over there and then help him that way and get a priest, all that stuff. But then I find out, he's got oppression. And we know, you get the list, you got your checklist. Oppression's there. It's not schizophrenia. When we narrow it down and we know a demon's present, we're going to suggest what is going to be either or, not in the show necessarily. So when we gave him the advice, it was on the idea it's oppression with the voice. Well, he's following the directions of the demons more than me, because he went and ripped up his Bible.
Completely.
And blasphemed the Holy Spirit and those things. I said, why do you do this stuff so easily? And, I'm mad at God because he's not answering my prayers. I said, okay, you ask God for something and you don't even wait. You don't even finish the 3 days of prayers that I told you to do. It's like going to your father and asking if you can borrow his car because yours broke down. You punch him in the face before he says yes. And he says, what are you doing? Now you expect me to lend you the car? I mean, guys... You know, a lot of guys get this kind of like making pacts with Satan and reading Crowley and.
Hey, Dawn's out there doing our work. She's telling people to give us likes and subscribe. Okay, Dawn and Brent, thank you. You rock. Sorry to interrupt, but we're supposed to remind people.
Yeah, like and
subscribe. Like and share. Sorry, sweetie.
Oh, that's okay. You don't have to apologize.
Yeah, so let's
This is
move
the way
on.
we work.
We don't have a lot of time. Let's get through this list here. You know, we talked about.
I'm on it.
you got.
I'm watching
Good,
the
good,
time.
Good. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
And look at all the hearts we're getting. My hearts are flying across.
I think I got
the
it
screen.
tonight. That other thing had so many things to talk about. We're talking about Zach Baggins.
I know. We were trying to get so
The
much out.
Demon House last week. If you missed it, go to youtube.com/TheRealDeals and go check it out there.
My computer's giving me grief tonight, kids. I don't know what's going on, but I'm having a hard
With
time.
the chat room?
Yeah, I'm just having a hard time. I don't know about you, Deb, but it's like every time I try and type something, it's just hanging up like crazy. It's face broke again.
Yeah, I'll go check that out tomorrow for you.
Yeah, it could be Facebook. You know how that goes.
Yeah, I think we're okay on the broadcast. No one's got any choppy on the video, at
Oh,
least.
good.
I
Yeah,
think the
no,
other parts of it
that's
messed up.
fantastic.
Of course, number 10 is a sad one. That's just like it's
Very sad.
past molestations and rape and abuse. I guess that one's so common. It's like if you listen to our Father Gary Thomas interviews that we have on our YouTube page, he mentions it as a soul wound, and when it's there, it's such a. When the younger they are, the worse it is. If it happened when you were very young, that gives them the vulnerability psychologically and spiritually to some degree, because it's like they put a spirit on them when they do this evil act, in addition to the idea that it's a psychological scar, as he calls a soul wound, for the spirit. And that will play a part. We usually find that the possession case, especially with the women, are going to have that, or oppression cases either, but it hasn't gone that far yet, because sometimes the fighting spirit is the thing that keeps it from taking over. Have you ever had that in your dream, and it seems like it's just down to the wills if you're fighting something, or your frame of mind? Everybody seems to, unless people don't remember their dreams, seems to have some kind of experience like that. It was almost like that in a movie, The Cage, with Jennifer, whatever her name is, the singer,
not Jennifer Lopez.
Lopez. That movie, The Cage, it was like was she in a coma or something, and she was like fighting some demon. We've heard stories about those type of experiences when they come out of comas.
That's interesting that you talk about that, especially into this topic, Deb. You're very well aware of the incidents, and so many of the exorcists that we know and work with tell us it's into the 90 percentile range of people as far as entry of oppression is an early molestation for both men and women. You know, this is rape, violent acts, and the reason being thus is that there's so much pain and hurt and anger that can't possibly be ejected in any way that's comprehensible, that it's like a raw, gaping wound that absolutely, some people say it attracts. Unfortunately, I think it directs. When you see a person walking around in a crowd and they're like Dawn or me, and they're dancing and they're doing stupid things and they're waving their hand in the air like they don't care, you think, oh my gosh, they're crazy, they're having fun, leave them alone or go join in. But when you see somebody walking around in the crowd and they've got their head down, their shoulders are kind of hunched, their eyes are furtive, they're looking around, you know they're not in a good place. They're not very confident. They might be kind of sad. And they don't invite any kind of positive experience like, hey, how you doing? Or, hey, do you want to take my place in line? I think I'm going to go grab another, I don't know, falafel or something.
Yeah.
So you tend not to want to interact with these people because their wounds are so obvious. They're seeping. Now, if humans can see them, think about how the demons can see them.
It's like a dark cloud over them.
It's worse than that. It just like, it's like a cockroach party on, a piece of pizza left out on the floor in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and it's like they're a beacon. Yeah, like like with moth.
And that's it. Their pain is so palpable. It gets
so much of that
them.
now too because of neglect, and then someone abuses them.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. We
and
probably do a
Athena
show
points out
about
PTSD
this
can be a
thing.
factor. They call that the PTSD is a real recent category that they call it. PTSD can occur for a number of reasons, but it definitely is attractive. It's like PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is the official name. It is the same thing. It's a wound that's so deep that it attracts the negative. It attracts negative people. It attracts the demonic.
Yeah.
And it's very, very difficult for us just to people say snap out of it, do something different, think about something different. A lot of times we need somebody to take us by the hand and help us. We need that one pastor, that one priest, that one friend, that one counselor, spiritual director, somebody that has our back.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah, PTSD is something we hope to look into a little bit more from the spiritual standpoint, since that we've been working with people who have anxiety issues, because
Yes.
every haunting oppression has anxiety-filled people.
And I have to say, Deb, you and I agree on this. This is not a popular topic, and I'm sure a few of you are going to be offended or hurt, and I don't mean to be offensive. I will not judge. It's not my job to judge. When you have molestation and rape wounds, many times you have abortions. And abortion somebody had posted something about satanic ritual abuse and how difficult it is, and the commission of people and children and women and alternative lifestyles to this sort of demonic pandering. An abortion, especially from a rape, is almost a double PTSD. It's like a double strike to the psyche, kids. Because a woman's been convinced that nothing good can come out of the horrible soul wound she just experienced. And it's almost as if the devil gets 2 strikes instead of 1. It's really, really, really difficult
Definitely.
to help someone through this. And as we see, I'm sure everybody is aware of, what's that kid's name that was in that movie that's so popular? Is it Corey Feldman?
Yeah.
Molested by, as a child.
Movie
Look at
producer.
what his soul wounds are doing with him. I pray to God he's not oppressed, but chances are he is in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
His best friend committed suicide from the molestation that he experienced in Hollywood from all these fabulous men and mentors he was involved with. What a soul wound. These things... It's difficult. It's difficult because sometimes people allow you to help, and we take 2 steps back, and then maybe, a little, maybe half-inch forward. You've seen
That's
this a
why
lot, Deb.
Corey has PTSD.
Big time.
Yeah.
That's why he's talking about it. He's trying to get it off his chest. It's been a burden for all these years. So he must be seeking help from someone.
Of course, nobody's going to
I
jail.
think you're right, Deb.
Why isn't Weinstein in jail already? It's like we always hear. It's like, are they just trying to play us all or something? Like, oh, let's put the drama up like something's going to be said. We'll have all these people interview him and talk about it, and nothing happens.
Oh, I know.
It's like the only people that are going to jail are people that are going to jail that are good people for a little stupid stuff. And are accused falsely.
Well, and Dawn and Brent Emler just brought up a fabulous point here. She still smells the smoke from the World Trade Center coming down. Okay? How horrible is that? To live through that kind of tragedy and still have that kind of memory and think, oh my gosh, it could happen again.
Yeah, that was a very unique smell.
Well, it is, and it just oh my gosh.
Sorry
And
about that,
Deb,
Deborah.
I know you deal. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry about that too. To have lived through that, Dawn, that had to be horrendous. I know. I watched it on a huge 72-inch screen TV, and I was just riveted all day, just crying. I ran. My child was at a play group. I got him, and I just cried and cried and cried. It was just horrific.
Oh, you did that too, Farah?
Yes, I did. I was just
I happened to be watching the news.
I thought it was the end of the
watching
world,
it. It
Deb.
happened live right on the TV.
I was like, okay,
I
if
went
you
right to
can
school and got my
attack,
kids out of school.
the biggest banks in the world, right there in New York City. I mean, that means Detroit's next, Chicago. I mean, all the way across. I could just see it. It's like it was like War of the Worlds, you know, Gungam style with, you know, the towel, the you know, everybody's eyes are covered, nobody knows what's going on, and they're blaming it on some Islamic cult. Yeah.
Okay, we're getting off topic here. We do have a short list.
Yes,
and a short
well, we're
time
talking
span.
about PTSD, and we're talking
going
about
time
oppression,
minutes
kids,
over, of course, so,
molestations,
hang
and
on.
rape. Okay, you're right, Ken. Let's
Sorry about that, folks.
stay on topic.
It's a tragic moment, but we only have an hour. Number 9, certain video games, and you heard about the Slender Man thing that increases the heart rate based on the experience, accelerating, the music, the actual heartbeat that's going on in the background sound effect, kind of an ambient sound, increases. All of this stuff designed to increase your anxiety, and when we're anxiety-filled, we lose it. Well, eventually, over time, it probably caused, you know, maybe some sort of rush or whatever. But you can, I always make fun of this, but on Homework and Mindy, I mean, you can turn an icon, an obsession, and a god or goddess out of a head of lettuce, and you'll start getting things happening, and to your favor, of course, it's going to undo you, because the devil will send somebody who makes sure that you fall into this and continue it.
Oh, yes.
Even if there's never a Slender Man who ever existed, maybe it was the figment of someone's imagination, maybe it's a real demonic being that has entered somebody's dream and inspired them to come up with this character.
Yes.
It's hard to say. But video games in general are more as if there's spell words in there that are actual spells, like that moron, I'm going to say, the writer of Harry Potter. She put real spells in that book. That's not very creative at all.
Well, they found out that she actually went to a school that practices, you know, to learn about how to cast spells and witchcraft. Now, that is kind of, you know, bizarre.
Yeah.
Why would you need that information? Why can't you just make it up like everybody else does? Because she wanted the real, authentic thing in there. Now, some people can say, oh, yeah, Harry Potter, nothing happened to me. Well, good, I'm glad. I'm very glad nothing happened to you. For some people, they weren't so lucky.
That was weird, too, because we don't have a lot of time, but I got that movie, and I didn't know this stuff back then.
Which one's that, honey?
And I watched the movie, and I couldn't finish it. I didn't even get very far in it at all. It's like, I mean, I watched, it's nothing to do with, like, it's kind of geared towards kids, but I watched the Goonies, and I still like the Goonies now, and those other ones, like Monster House done in 3D.
Cute.
I mean, if you're talking about the genre, but I don't know, maybe it's not like I had some bad feeling or anything like that. Yeah, there's always been something off about that, but applicable. Video game symbols, if you have satanic symbols on your TV or in a game and you spend a lot of time in a game, you might have elements that are stuck in there. And it could have just, you know, you never know when Satanist or something or cultist types are actually involved in making a video game and put these things in there. If you see something and it's blatant, not the stuff where the people see demons and everything and they give you a symbol, oh, that's demonic, you know, or something, and it's not. So don't confuse it with that. There's a guy out there, Stephen Dollins, I think. He hasn't been around in a while. Another one of those, like, I was a Satanist. I remember him putting some slides up of symbols that some of them weren't at all satanic. And it's like, what did you do, surf the internet for your information? I started thinking he's just another wannabe dabbler like that King guy.
True.
Okay, let's see. The slumber parties for girls is number 8. You know,
Oh my
what can
gosh!
happen in slumber
I can't
party
put you
fair?
put slumber parties for girls. You are so sexist.
No, I'm not. The boys will bring porn. There's one thing, but girls have a host
how about
of
slumber
things.
parties for all?
No, because guys don't usually practice witchcraft at slumber parties.
Really? What slumber parties have you been to with guys? The ones I went to with guys, they practice all kinds of weird stuff.
So you were the only girl at a slumber party.
Yeah. Hello.
And they practice witchcraft.
No, I didn't practice it. They did.
I don't know where you lived at. San Francisco? No, that's just not common. She had some weird experience. Maybe that's why you're hanging with them, because they were a little
very
bit
weird
leaning
experience.
towards your gender or something. I don't know.
I
But
did it
no,
as a tomboy.
it's a problem with girls, and you know it, that they seem to grab
a
all of our
mega
cases.
problem.
I don't get guys dabbling in
It's a
witchcraft
mega
per
problem.
se, Wicca. We get the guys that are fascinated with the occult knowledge part
Completely.
of Crowleyism. So the point
Completely.
is, slumber parties for girls. I mean, we already know what, like, the boys, they bring porno. Hey, check this out here, like about these magazines. But they don't even sit around and smoke pot. And girls do that. They do different drugs, and and I'm talking statistically.
Okay,
I don't care what bizarre.
You're right, statistically.
If you had bizarre experiences or none at all, it has nothing to do with that. Your experience is just like the people who use Ouija boards, and they say, I use it for 30 years, never had anything happen. That doesn't mean anything. It's the statistics.
That's true. It's
of the large level of it.
It's the ones that they collect, and I agree. The statistics do show that it's not a good idea to let your little girl run off to parties.
Because I got in here about pornography, and I don't have to put it into boys' slumber
doing all
parties.
kinds of stuff.
Oh,
I agree with you.
Number 7.
I just never went to any.
Bad relationships for a lot of reasons.
So how can bad relationships lead to demonic oppression, Ken?
Because people let themselves have intimate affairs. We'll just say it's because in case some children are listening. Right.
Well, it's worse. Okay, let's talk about some of the people we know. Deb, who do you know that's in a really bad relationship that might be oppressed?
Let me see.
Yeah, I know. How many of them?
Think about it.
No, she doesn't. She's got so many to choose from. She doesn't know who to talk about.
Maybe I shouldn't.
I know. Maybe you shouldn't. But it's true. Okay. What's that saying, Deb? Is it by Saint Teresa Avila, or what is it? What you love shows what you worship and who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And in a relationship, the person you love, who they are is what you become. And so a bad relationship basically becomes your personal struggle.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I got out of them.
Yeah, you are what you have a relationship with. I mean, there's something that attracted you to them, and you're cohabitating in some degree. You're hanging out with them. You're acquiring their bad habits, and unfortunately, you're also you're in proximity to their demons too. Mm-hmm. So if you're dating somebody who has demonic attachments, like a Satanist, because they're really cute, or they're beautiful, or they're you like to show them off, or they're great and bad. Sorry to be so blunt on that.
They're in a rock band.
In a rock band, or how about they're changing personalities in the middle of a wild sexual encounter, and you're like, okay, who is this person?
That's the problem. You don't get to know somebody before you jump in the bed with them.
And these people are just like, well, I think I'm going to drink some of the milk before I buy the cow, and it's like, maybe the milk is tainted a little bit.
A little?
People.
Yeah.
Yes. And Rose is even saying her last boyfriend was a sociopath.
Number 6 is music, and I remember we talked about it earlier with the actual music that's in the background and heartbeat and stuff. Or something about a fast tempo that can, and they do that with the voodoo things, and when they allow themselves to become possessed, and in the Hindu at those Kundalini spirit revivals, for example. Those are just 2 quick examples like that. And the lyrics, they can be spells, they can be dark incantations, they can be backwards masking. Oh, by the way, we're going to post that that show on our YouTube page.
Good idea, honey.
Mm-hmm. That one we did, that was a good one. I don't want to do another show about that, though. People said they had nightmares for weeks on that one.
We
Remember
can't do that. We can't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you guys. We will not ever let Ken play that weird music in your brain again.
It had modern music, like Jay-Z.
Not allowed.
They have backwards masking.
No more weird music. Only birdie music. Cheep, 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 cheep.
Jay-Z, oh boy.
Right, Deb?
Number 5 here is the same as pretty much the one we talked about a couple of them ago, and that is having sex with the oppressed or demonically attached, because of that bonding, and just like drinking the blood, or you're gonna get the same demons they got. So the one night stand, you go away not with just STDs, but what would be DDDs.
Well, yeah, that's what we were talking about. If you basically allow yourself to open yourself up to a sexual relationship with somebody that's already, shall we say, what was that movie that I liked with Daryl Hannah, and it wasn't Tom Hanks, where, they were in this Irish castle, and they said, if you tup with the spirits, if you had sexual intercourse with the spirits, you became one. Well, the Irish not only know that, but we know that too, that if you basically open yourself up to a sexual encounter with somebody that has attachments, you're going to get them too.
Was it High Spirits?
High Spirits. Oh my gosh,
Was
it was so funny. Yes, it was hilarious. But obviously, whoever wrote the movie had a clue what they were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Well,
because the way they represented ghosts was just perfect. It's like, that's a ghost, just like a broken record.
Yeah, sometimes the little information for people.
No, it was no, Don. It wasn't Splash. It was High Spirits. Exactly.
I thought that's. Oh no, that was that was the guy from 3 Men and a Baby. Was in Police Academy.
Gutenberg.
Yeah, Gutenberg.
Yes,
thank you.
Gutenberg.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you see that movie, Deb?
Mm-hmm.
That was funny.
I don't know. I saw Police Academy. But I didn't see
Police
High Spirits,
Academy.
so.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we're down to the last couple, folks. We're trying to roll them out here real quick. Okay, so
we're cutting them short. We're not necessarily going over all of them.
We're trying to squinch them, okay?
Okay, books. Now,
books.
some of these people out there who proclaim to be, top names or knowledgeable on these topics would said that owning and reading certain books, owning them isn't enough. Yes, if you have a collection of some old witchcraft books and they're in your house, you brought in at least one demon, and it's there. You given it legal right because you gave the vampire permission to cross your threshold by bringing a book in your house. I don't care if you have a museum that you're building and and you got it all in your closet waiting to build your own John Zappis museum or something like that.
It doesn't matter.
Be a fool.
These immortals don't have to knock on your bedroom headboard in 5 minutes or 5 days. They can do it in 50 years when you got 5 grandkids in there.
Your own dwelling.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, Deb.
But some books are going to be worse than others, not necessarily. I mean, just like you can get a Bible fresh off the presses, you even find it at a garage sale, and it's never been touched, never been read, never been prayed with. And if you take that and you treat it like a relic, like Bob Larson does with the Bible, this little one he sticks, it's all wrinkled up, and he sticks it on their forehead and looks in their eyes. Be gone, demon! It's like, okay, and what authority are you doing this? That's probably what the demon's thinking, if there is a real demon in that, and he didn't put it in there himself. But if the Bible has not been prayed with or, anything, because things become radioactive with positive when you just pray with something. Like if you pray with the rosary for a while and it's not blessed, it will be blessed in its own way, but not the same as if a priest blessed it, of course. So it becomes sort of a sacramental in itself, even though rosary is a sacramental.
Exactly.
The Bible or any prayer book or anything, and it becomes not just because of the prayers in it, because you actually said the prayers and you're in proximity to it. A positive action, like a house. If there's a negative action in it, it becomes tainted.
Oh,
how about houses that are often a lot of prayer? The bedroom that has all this prayer and good acts and not negative acts.
Oh,
Imagine
it's so
that.
True.
So, yeah, with books.
Okay, so we've only got a couple minutes left, sweetie.
Yeah,
Let's hurry up and wrap this up.
Okay.
I got an idea. Since we're at the top of the hour, these last three are really powerful. Let's just carry them over to next week. Is that okay with you, Deb?
Yeah. Here was
That's fine.
Yeah, because we got the top three, and then we'll add to the subject stuff. Okay, you guys?
Yeah, we could throw that in just an Ask a Demonologist or something instead of feeling like it's all broken.
These last three are really
one.
power-packed. He saved the best for last, and we got lots to talk about. We got a couple cases we want to throw at you guys too, for some reference and stuff like that. And we love you. Thank you for all the hearts. You guys are fabulous. Thanks for all the shares. Oh my gosh, you guys, we got so many people in the room playing tonight. And thank you all for coming. We seriously love you, and gosh, we wouldn't be here without you guys playing. Rose, Dawn, Jennifer, and Denise. You're always sharing our show and stuff. And Rose Ellis, oh my gosh, you are definitely getting to be the apologist of the century. So thanks for sharing the video. Thank you for subscribing. And you know what? It's time to go. Say good night, sweetheart. Good night, Deb. Sweet dreams, Deb. Yes. Good night, Michael. Rose.
On the question, does the Catholic Church do exorcism for non-Catholics? Yes, they do. And
yes, we do. We'll get to that next week, kids, because we missed a big chunk. We're trying to squeeze it in, but we're getting better.
Yeah, more tighter and more like we've always done it in an hour.
Don't forget, the battle's already won. Okay? And, the three of us, Ren and Stimpy and Miss Beautiful Deb, we're here to try and help you win the battle and do it right, okay? It's already won. Rest easy. Say your prayers, rabbits. Good night, Tony. Good night, Jennifer. Good night, Sonia. Good night, Torres.
John Boy.
John Boy.